Hello, everyone, and welcome to another madness on the main stage while men's heart melt, making them mindless machos to the magnificent musical moments. Uncle Gary lies all the time about having once dated Sheryl Crow episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
Who's producing the show, Tom?
I'm Drew Head.
What's up, Drew?
Nothing much.
I would like you guys to all know that the official, unofficial, might be official, not really sure sponsor of the Days Grimm is. This episode is brought to you by Purple Moose Power Washing LLC. That's one word, Purple Moose Power Washing LLC. These guys are the newest pressure washing company in the tri-state area. And if you get in now, you're going to get the best rates while they're a newer company. They're so good at pressure washing, dude. One of my neighbors got it done. I can see into their house now, through their siding. I don't even
paying for cable.
Yeah. Dude, honest to God, you don't even have to. It's just like a giant window.
Nice.
So clean. So check these dudes out. Link in the bottom of the description of this show. Purple Moose. That's one word. Purple Moose Power Wash LLC. Washing LLC.
So Brian,
what's up, Tom?
With that intro.
Help me welcome into the shoebox, if you will, the Days Grimm studio, Kenna Elpers. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
What's
How are
up,
you?
lady?
How are you?
Dude, you are harder to get a hold of than a damn wet otter.
That is
a
not
river
true.
otter.
You just got a busy summer schedule.
That is, yeah. You know what?
You've had a crazy summer.
It's been ridiculous.
We had you booked.
We did.
What,
back
2
in
months
June.
ago?
Back
Yeah,
in June.
like
And
a
then I
while
felt
ago.
so bad.
Yeah.
Because I hate canceling on people. It's like
I love it. It's the great. Can I just say I love canceling
I'll
on people?
cancel on personal plans, but when it comes
Yeah.
to music,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, I felt so bad. I was in the car and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do.
If I can cancel plans and just put my bunny slippers on and watch Forged in
I do
Fire,
that a lot. I did that the other day.
You know what I mean? If I could just hang out in my underwear with no shirt on, it's so much better than doing whatever I was going to
But
do.
I mean, CMA Fest, the Days Grimm podcast.
Yeah, that's
No.
why you canceled on us.
That is why I canceled on you guys.
You were busy
yeah.
that whole weekend.
Yeah, I had been in St. Louis. I had thrown the first pitch at the Cardinals game on
Sick.
that Saturday. But I had also played a show that night before and that Thursday before, and I think that Wednesday before. So it was Wednesday through Saturday. And then Sunday came around and I had gotten a message the day prior or something like that to have a set in the CMA Fest. It might have even been prior, I don't know. But I had gotten an opportunity to play, and I was like, oh, it'd be my first CMA Fest. I was like, I feel so bad, because obviously this trumps the CMA Fest.
I mean, this is pretty dope.
This is pretty dope.
If you're into man caves and drinking bourbon, come on down to the Days Grimm, guys, and talking about aliens and shit, No, we like to have a good time, man. And we understand you're very, very busy.
Mm-hmm.
You're
an up-and-coming country music artist.
I don't know that up and coming covers it. You're kind of getting there. You're at the doorstep. You know what I mean?
I'm working on it. I'm trying.
Yeah.
They just won't let me in yet. I'm knocking for hours.
Recently moved to Nashville, correct?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in a couple weeks.
Now I say recently. She's like, yeah, 7 years ago I moved to Nashville.
No, I call it recent in Nashville time. I call it, yeah.
No, but honestly, I have to take this moment to share my just general disdain for Nashville.
They got
Tennessee.
outdoor urination now, right?
Yeah, I think they can pee on the street now. Is that a thing that they're doing? Can you pee
Not
on?
legally, but I've seen people
No, I
do
think
it.
they just passed a law where you can legally.
No.
They're going to put little urinals where you just pull your out and go. I swear to goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is the municipal law that they just...
No.
I mean,
I'm looking that up and then I'm sending it to everybody I know, because I played a show on...
Can we search this to make sure I'm not full of shit?
No, because if that's true, oh my gosh, I'll take a picture right next to it and send it to the whole family group chat.
I don't know that they have any put up yet, but it is it was
you
a
know
law.
what? I'll be real with you. It's under... Now, I do not condone it, and I think it's disgusting, but the amount of times... No, I'm saying in public. It's one thing to go behind a bush. We've all done that. Or
Dude,
in a cornfield.
Me and dumpsters are tight, dude.
Yeah, when you live where I grew up, you don't just find a bathroom. You have to drive. If you're on a road trip, you got to do what you got to do.
What are we talking here, Drew? What's the sitch? What's the sitch?
Can
you read faster than me?
Probably
if
not.
they perform an excretory function in public. No, Tennessee is messed up. I'm telling you.
Dude,
much love to my Tennessee people.
Tennessee, the country itself is fucking dope. Now, Nashville, they're really pulling all the stops out.
The
country of Tennessee?
itself?
Yeah.
Itself?
Well, you know how every state's throwing a little... It's you
Sure.
know what I'm saying?
Sure,
It's
yeah. Also,
Right.
I'm not seeing that it's legal to urinate in public in Nashville. I think YouTube made that up.
I pooped in a parking garage in Nashville.
The only thing
that
I'm
was
seeing-
you? No, I'm kidding.
She stepped in
Next to somebody's car.
I knew it.
Went commando the rest of the night.
Was it a Ford Explorer? 'Cause-
No, it was not. It
Okay.
was like an Audi. This guy definitely hated me.
I was in a parking garage here in Evansville a couple weeks ago, and
Some
there was
excrement?
just human shit on the ground for sure.
I'm not proud of it.
And I mean, living there for 2 years, and I don't even I like Midtown and like certain, when you go more where like locals stay or do things, it's a lot calmer. But even in like in Nashville specifically, outside of Nashville, outside of the city part, it's great. But even now with the way it's grown so much, it's ridiculous. I feel like before I moved there, we had stayed at this like condo down there downtown.
Yeah.
Right, really close to Broadway. And the amount of people you would see squatting and going to the bathroom, or like they've got picking up drunk people off the side of the road down to a science because somebody passed out, like threw up, and then all of a sudden this guy's just shaking his head, picking her up and putting her in the back of an ambulance and driving off.
All right, honey, that's the end of the night for
and
you.
I'm like, now you're gonna cut her off? This is crazy.
He's gonna put
You
an
see
IV
so
in
many
her,
cool
drop
things.
her off at the DoubleTree.
Go to Nashville around Halloween time too.
That's the thing with like second Broadway printers. Like, dude, like these bars, dude. Bro, you've not fucking been to a bar until you've been to a Printer's Alley fucking bar.
dude. You know what? I've played at Printer's Alley though.
They still do nude karaoke down there?
I don't know. I've never been.
Yeah,
Have you been?
Yeah, they used to do. I didn't do it, obviously. I mean, I didn't want to upset everybody.
Yeah.
They would have been like,
Nashville has winners and losers down there.
Yes,
right?
they do have
I
that.
played for in a pool game there.
Oh my god.
don't worry, that gets bleeped.
He's got some interesting stuff.
Yeah, we bleep anything that has to do with like drug references. So you're good there.
Pretty sure public urination has been legal on Broadway in Nashville for forever.
Yeah,
people are doing it all the time.
It's kind of like mandatory by the mass, I think.
Yeah.
No, but one thing we do like to do in the very beginning of the show is we like to hand it to you and just kind of say, like, if you were going to elevator pitch yourself to somebody like who is Kenna Elpers, you know what I mean? Like a elevator pitch. Hey guys, we would like to take a quick moment to remind you that Bert Kreischer is coming to Evansville September 20th, and we are going to do our best to set up an interview with him that weekend. We are also giving away a TDG merch bundle to an individual whose name will be drawn at random during a live TDG streaming event, date to be determined. Now, the way you can enter to win the TDG merch bundle is by commenting on Bert's Instagram post, reels, whatever, stories, it doesn't matter. But when you comment on those, you have to tag at the Days Grimm podcast. Each post that you tag us in will be an entry for your chance to win.
Okay, well, I am a singer-songwriter, born and raised actually out here this way in southern Indiana, good old southern Indiana. But I started doing music whenever I was pretty young. I was around 11 whenever I thought it'd be cool type deal. You know, I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. Be a rock star. Are you kidding me? And then when I was 13, I got my first gig, and I think not even 2 shows in, I had firmly made the decision that this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life, which is really weird because I never thought that would have ever been the case. And when I found out I could make a living by doing it, and I could go to school for it, and I could really elevate my education through music and all that, it was just a double whammy on that end. So I made my decision. I was moving to Nashville the second I graduated high school, and I was going to do the whole music scene.
Oh yeah.
Well, obviously you have to discuss with your parents type deal, and I was a really good student in school, loved that, so we thought it'd be best I get a college degree on top of that. So after I graduated, moved down to Tennessee, had the music thing going, already kind of had set myself up really well around the local area in the Midwest, in Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, you know, and parts of Tennessee as well. But I ended up picking MTSU, Middle Tennessee State in Murfreesboro, as my college of choice.
Okay.
And I moved down there in 2021, and I have been there ever since, doing the writing thing, doing the singing thing, playing any stage I can get on, you know, and just loving every minute of it.
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Right off the rip.
Yeah.
is it Murfreesboro?
Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro.
Murfree.
My brain hates that town just because I hate saying it. It like my brain doesn't want to compute the R.
The R.
Yeah, I feel like
people do that.
You automatically sound drunk when you say it.
Murfreesboro.
I'm gonna go to Murfreesboro. Even I say the R.
Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro.
Was that there? Were you just shitting behind a dumpster? Get in here. You're get in the paddy wagon.
That's funny.
No, that's interesting, man. So Middle Tennessee
Yeah.
University?
Middle Tennessee State University. Yeah. And it's cool because, when I had first decided that I wanted to go to college out that way, up until really probably the end of my junior year going into my senior year of high school, I wanted to go to Belmont. And that was like, because that's like the big music school that people talk about in Nashville. But when I went to look at them, it was during 2020, so I couldn't really do a real visit. So Mom and my brothers and we got in the car one day and we just drove down for a day trip. And we had driven past a few different schools and we went through Belmont and I was like, it's pretty, but it just I wasn't getting the good vibes. I don't know. I've got pretty good intuition. Yeah. And I just I don't know why, but I wasn't really fully 100% invested in it. And when we drove 30 minutes south to Murfreesboro, MTSU, and I was like, oh, like, I actually like this campus, which it's funny because a lot of people in that part of Tennessee, like, sometimes, like, they talk about MTSU like it's, like, this, like, strange school and everything. But I thought it was perfect for me because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. And I didn't want to be directly in Nashville. I didn't want to be crowded. I didn't want to feel, especially when I first moved down there.
Choked out.
Yeah.
Dude. There's so many people.
There's so many people. And it's gotten even worse now after COVID. Because, like, all these people they decided, oh, well, we're going to take this opportunity and we're going to move somewhere. And they never left. Yeah. They've just been sitting there every day. I think I heard, like, back in 2019 or something like that, Nashville's rate of growth was like 100 people moving in per day. Wow. But then with that, there's probably like 50 to 100 moving out.
We're sitting here talking shit, obviously. We're not really. Well, I am. So like, I don't like Nashville, and I got to state the reason why I don't like Nashville, because like we're gonna sit and mostly talk about today is the abundance of talent that's in that town that just does not get recognized. And I've had family members that have been in the music production business, and they've gone down there and they failed, and they moved. They didn't fail, but it's over absorption. There's too much going on there, so it's like. We need like a second act. And it's funny that I sit here and talk shit.
I think that's probably part of the reason is there's so many people that so many people outshine other people. Whereas if like that one person would be here in little old Evansville, Indiana, they would probably have full-time gigs, playing at 100%. Local bars.
Yeah. But for instance, the Chugs or the Strangers or I don't know if there's tons of guys with talent here that definitely like pop because they have the talent, but
then again, for country music, you want to be in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is like the country music. Capital.
It is the country, but it's also been publicized that way, and it's been marketed that way. And I remember Nashville, like, and I love Nashville. I love it. I'm so used to it now. It's became like a second home. But really, when I was younger, when I was like a little kid, and we'd go to Nashville for like that spring break trip for 3-4 days. I loved getting to walk around, do the tourist thing. I loved walking around. I was like 8 to 10 years old, going down, walking into these bars and not being worried that I was going to lose my parents in a crowd or not being worried that that something was going to happen. And I'd get to stay there till like 9 p.m. past my bedtime. Are you kidding me?
Hell yeah.
Now they've taken Broadway and they've turned it into like the new, almost like new, we call it Nash Vegas. I mean, the new Las Vegas style really thing. You know what I mean? And it's fun. It's a blast. I think everybody should go. But a lot of the complaints right now is just the fact that artists have had to now belittle their own music in a sense. Like they've had to take it down a notch with their own music and play other people's songs that people recognize. Yep. And then they have to also play to like a specific crowd type. Yeah. Whereas, like, I mean, I know these little kids who come in and these families are like, yeah, we thought we could take in the kids, but they only got to see 2 bars on Broadway and they could only see them in the morning because Thursday through Sunday, they have now rules. Certain bars, they cut off all ages, like all day. Or they do it like you have to be out by 6 p.m. now. And so it's like, I feel bad sometimes because I got lucky with being able to experience that. Cause I think if a lot of younger kids experienced it, they would think it was as cool as I did.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like the Tootsies and stuff like that. Like the places that have like historical references and like really great people have played on those stages and stuff like that. But like the downside, I just hate that there's so much talent there and it doesn't get recognized.
Same.
Yeah, it's very, very upsetting. And honestly, if I have to hear fucking Wagon Wheel one more time, I'm going to karate chop myself in the throat.
You know what? That song is so hated by a lot of musicians now. Well, not hated. They don't like having to sing it. They'll listen to it if they have to, but they don't like having people constantly request it. Mine is I adore Shania Twain's music back in the 90s. Are you kidding me?
Oh, who didn't?
Love Shania Twain.
Yeah.
But if I have to hear like Any Man of Mine, not just if I have to sing it myself, I physically just can't. Like I'm like any other Shania song.
Yeah.
Well, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. But like any of her other songs, I'm like, yes, I love you. Because I'm like, thank you for recognizing that she has other music. But it's true about the artist thing. Like not being. There's a lot of great artists down there.
I know, man.
And they've now filled into the whole crowd.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's insane. And they're just covering these stages and stuff. But,
Well, speaking of unfortunate people and events.
Oh, yeah, the unfortunate...
Death of the week.
Yeah, let's go ahead and spin up the death of the week, Drew. I think it's that time.
The death of the week.
This week's death of the week brought to you by Thedaysgrimm.com. Just dip the tip in. Go check out our merch. It's pretty sweet. I mean, it's pretty, I like it. I wear it sometimes. A lot of times. We got t-shirts, we got hats, we got mugs, canteens, all kind of cool stuff. So get in there, check it out. That's thedaysgrimm.com. This week's death of the week. We're going big time, guys. Troy Gentry of country duo Montgomery Gentry dies in crash. Now, a lot of folks know about this story. I'm not well versed in it, but we're going to go through it today, so buckle up, y'all. As one half of the Montgomery Gentry, Troy Gentry, that's a lot of G's in there, who died Friday in a helicopter crash, helped the country music duo become a successful act in the genre, launching countless hits, winning multiple awards, and reaching platinum status throughout the 2000s. Gentry, 50 years of age, was killed hours before the band was set to hit the stage, a second home for the singer and guitarist from Kentucky. The helicopter carrying Gentry crashed in a wooded area near the Flying W Airport in Medford, New Jersey around 1 p.m. Friday. Montgomery Gentry was supposed to perform Friday in Medford. Gentry was born on April 5th, 1967 in Lexington, Kentucky, my favorite Kentucky city, where he met bandmate Eddie Montgomery, known for his signature hat. Later, they founded the group based off of their names, Montgomery Gentry. Montgomery Gentry had success on the country charts and country radio in the 2000s, scoring #1 hits with Roll With Me, Back When I Knew It All, Lucky Man, Something to Be Proud Of, If You Ever Stop Loving Me. Those are just a few of their hits. Some of the songs even cracked the top 40 of the pop charts. Quote, Troy Gentry's family wishes to acknowledge all of the kind thoughts and prayers and asks for privacy at this time, end quote, the statement read. The band mixed country music with southern rock and was known for their blue-collar anthems. They were inducted into the Grand Ole Opry in 2009 and into the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame in 2015.
So no no helicopter rides for you anytime soon?
No, that story, I thought it was a lot longer than it was in my head. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
remember
from
when that happened,
2017.
and actually, like, his wife recently had put up a post about that, because the death date's coming up. Like, it's September.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, this didn't happen this past Friday. This was September 8th, 2017, when this article was written, and I'm assuming this was that Friday.
Yeah,
So,
and that story is
2017.
wild, because it wasn't even like it was weird how that worked out, because his other bandmate wasn't with him. He was just going for a helicopter ride. It's very similar. I mean, even Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. But that was such a sad thing, because I loved their music. I was obsessed. And I still do. I mean, the Montgomery side, still great.
Still
but
good.
Yeah, they were, and always will be a killer band. I don't know that there's many out there like them, dude. So, that's this week's Death of the Week. We went pop charts for that one. So, we normally don't do like famous people, like only if it's like.
Speaking of pops,
God bless you. Every time you open a beer, we have to say God bless you. It's a tribal thing that we do.
Oh.
Kind of a romance.
So when do you think you found your love for music? I mean, you started playing at a young age, but do you think you fell in love with music before that?
Well, I like to think so. I mean, because I always think about my earliest memory with music. And for me, one of the biggest like things that I can have in my head was I was young because I went to like this concert. It was Lady A.
Lady Annabelle.
Lady A, yes.
Love her.
And it was my first ever country concert, and I was probably 10. And I remember the feeling I had, like a lot of little kids, like I loved singing and everything, but a lot of little kids, like, you know, you're just listening and vibing in the music. But for me, when I could feel like the bass thump with like my, like in my heart, like in my chest, I just, something like clicked to me. I was like, man, I want to be on that stage. Like that would be so cool. And even before that, I had done this, like tried dance. It did not work. But I remember being at this dance club thing that they did at my school when I was like 8. And I heard Katy Perry singing like on the radio. And I was more concerned about the singing over the dancing type deal. You know, so it's just kind of like, I just loved it.
Do you think learning to dance at a young age helps with your choreography on stage?
Not at all. If you see my choreography, it's terrifying.
Oh, it's not great.
No, I try to tell people I'm more of a jumper. Okay. Rather than a dancer, but I'm very uncoordinated at the same time. So when I jump in heels, I'm getting better. But when I jump in heels, I've risked falling a couple times for sure.
Have you fallen before?
Yeah, but I've made it look unnoticeable. It looked like I was going down on my knees to play.
Okay.
But it hurt. Like this happened recently.
I
played the posing
kind
kind
of thing. I popped a back somersault or something.
Oh,
or
that'd
like
be crazy.
Like a tumble move.
No, I did catch. I played a fair a couple weeks ago in my hometown, and I was getting really hot, and they threw a bandana at me, and I caught it with my mouth while I was playing a song. That was pretty cool.
That's
up on stage.
Sick. That's rockstar,
I was
dude.
so cool. I felt like such a badass.
That's rockstar shit.
Yeah. I feel like jumping on stage in heels, holding a guitar with like wires everywhere.
Yes.
Dangerous
Terrifying.
game.
Dangerous game.
Yeah, you're rolling the dice.
So when do you think you wrote your first song?
I can't remember when I wrote my first song. We found a paper, and I think I was like 4 or 5, something like that. And I was writing. It was a sad song. Apparently, it was like "Cry Me a River." I was pulling a JT.
Oh.
But my first song, truly, that I wrote like to completion, I was 10 years old, and I wrote it. I remember the title. It was called it was something about love. It was a love song, and there was a rap in it too, a country rap.
Dang.
Were you rapping, or was it?
Yeah, I was rapping.
You have a feature.
Damn, dude, we're gonna start calling her T Swift Jr.
No, for real. No, that's why that song never made it out of the Butterfly Notebook.
Oh, okay. What's the Butterfly Notebook?
That is my first ever songbook I ever had. So prior to having all the technological things I do now, I had a stack of songbooks, and I'd get one for my birthday. I'd get one like for the major holidays, my birthday, Christmas, just little songbooks, and I'd fill them up really quickly with just ideas. And they may have been horrible, but it was just my way to express type deal. And this notebook, I mean, it had my first love song I wrote, it had my first breakup song, it had my first. I wrote a song about my grandpa, right, like probably a few years after he passed away.
Do you still have these books?
I do.
So do you go back to them for inspiration for newer songs?
Sometimes I do, yeah. Because I have to remind myself, especially when I moved to Tennessee, I had to remind myself, so you always do, you have to remind yourself why you fell in love with it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because music, it's a very, very competitive business. And it's scary sometimes when I'm throwing my whole life and career into something that is literally based around luck.
Yeah.
So I sometimes have to go back and read those words of that little girl, and it reminds me of why I fell in love with it. Because I'm passionate about it, but sometimes you get just nervous, and you're like, oh, is this what I'm meant to do? Like everybody questions their life.
How has technology changed your writing process?
Well, there are, number one, it's
voice memos.
that, yes. Oh, thank God. I love a good voice memo. If you saw some of them, they're horrible. But I like wake up and I don't want to write a song. I just say it in my voice. No, but then like you can also now I do a lot of co-writes now. I write with other people on top of that. Like I write about a song a day by myself just because I've got a lot to say apparently. But when I write with other people, it's easier for us to share all the information through like a Google Doc or something like that. There are now like apps you can look for. So like, sometimes you have a trouble remembering a word that you need to like rhyme. So like if I can't figure out the word that rhymes with disguise and I'm like, gosh, like what word has enough syllables? I can look it up online. I can look up, there's a website I use just to kind of look it up if I want to see if it fits or get inspiration. And then also with like when the pandemic hit, like co-writing became Zoom writes, and that has changed the game too.
Now you have a COVID story, if I'm not mistaken.
I do.
So you almost died from COVID, didn't you? Isn't that what happened?
Well, before that, there was a huge push in the tri-state about sharing your stuff so that you could go to this thing, right? Or was that?
Wait, what?
I remember a few years ago, like 2015, wasn't there a whole like surge?
That wasn't COVID.
Well, no, but it was before, where like people were sharing your music, right?
What?
Which was it?
What's your question?
Wasn't there? I may be thinking of somebody else.
You're thinking of the other artist.
Okay.
We had another female artist from.
I was in 2015.
I'm failing to remember her name. Hold on a second. We haven't interviewed her yet, but we're trying to. You're thinking of the other one.
Okay.
No, but in COVID times, 2019, in the dark ages, just a few short years ago, what happened? So, like, you got lucky enough to go on stage with, what was it?
American Idol. American Idol.
American Idol.
Yeah.
And tell me about that. What was that like?
It was a cool experience. I mean, okay, so
How did you get there first off?
Yeah, so I think I was 17 or 16, about to be 17. Yeah, and it was this right before my senior year of high school. And I had, with everything being shut down, I had tried to find my time that whole summer, trying to find ways to like figure out how to like stay connected with people and all that good stuff. And I told myself that if the opportunity, I never was going to physically sit there and like go to every open call or anything like that. But if ever the opportunity was presented itself, if it presented itself to me, I would take it.
Yeah.
Especially I wanted to do it before I was around that time. If you were 18, you had to go alone. So I was 17 and I was like, I'd be able to have a parent with me. I'd be able to like just try it out. Well, I had gotten reached out to about it. And
so they reached out to you.
Yeah.
Who's they?
Just the people who run it behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
some lady named Cheryl or something.
Yeah.
Candace.
Yeah. So they had it was like one of those things where you get that somebody finds a video and they're like, hey, like, would you like to do this? And I had really thought about it at first because I was like, like I'm about to start my senior year. But then I was like, if anything, this is a great time to do it because things are going to be so different. I need some form of normalcy in my music again, being able to play in front of people physically and be around people. And so I just got on a Zoom call one night and it was like a 3 or 4 hour long like Zoom call. And
that's a long conversation.
Oh yeah. So it started off like I went through different steps in and out of waiting rooms, and I had interviews. Which normally this process, you have to think normally this process when they do those calls, they go all over the U.S. and they travel looking at first just as an audition standpoint. Prior to COVID, they would go all over and have these set audition times for people to come in. Then they do the next step, then the next step, but they got it all done in one night through a Zoom call. And
that's overwhelming.
From what I know, like that's still how they do it to this day, because that has to be like, I mean, so much easier. You don't have to now travel 4.5 hours to go find the next idol. You can go on a Zoom call.
Pay for a venue, because that's how they were doing it.
Yeah.
They were like paying for like, if I remember right, because a friend of mine did one of the American Idol or America's Got Talent tryouts like way back in the day, 2009, 2010, something like that. And they had rented out the Old National Event Plaza. So they have to like go and pay for that space, take all these people, like show up here at this time, and then there's all this logistical BS that comes with it. But yeah, this way they just like find a video, find her email, send her an email, send her a phone call, whatever, and then it's like, all right.
And it sounds a lot easier for them. So I had went through that whole process. It was funny when I got done with it. The person who like it was one of the final producers I had talked to.
Yeah,
they were like, okay, well, like, we will get your like travel details sent to you soon. And nobody had confirmed to me that I made it past that point, because I had gone through 6 or 7 submission rounds at this point. Nobody had ever said to me, you're going in front of the judges type deal.
Yeah, you're good.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous in the waiting room. And all the gun, they're like, yeah, so we're going to get your travel details sent. And I'm like, well, what's the next part? And they're like, and you're going in front of the judges. And a little girl in me, I was like, ah. I was like, yay. So it took a while. I don't think that was at like end of July. And I think I didn't go until November or something like that.
Wow.
And they put us up. It was cool because they did them all in California, where normally, and now I think they're back to this way, you like travel. Again, they travel to different big cities, or the judging, like the actual judges coming in. But they put us at this like beautiful resort in California, gorgeous. I think it was in Southern California, and it was just beautiful. We got to stay there for like, I think it was like 5 or 6 days. And in that process, it was so interesting seeing the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, you went from interviews to then you could go for a walk, and then you'd go back to another interview, then you'd have somebody come pick you up and take you somewhere else.
And were you able to like rub elbows with like other musicians that were there?
You could meet with, you know what, you could I had a different experience with a different thing I had done prior, like at the beginning of COVID, and there was no, like with you could not interact with other people because of how heavy it was at the time. Luckily, then what they did is every morning, it was a long process. Every morning you'd get up, I'd get up at like 4 and I'd go get ready. And then I had to be downstairs on the dot at 6 a.m. in line because they do temperature checks. Right when we got there, we had COVID tests, but after that, it was temperature checks every single morning. And then you had to log symptoms on this like app that they had created and everything. Eesh. And then, but as long as everything checked out and you were okay for that day, you would get to go and be around people. You just had to be distancing to some. You couldn't be like hugging up. But yeah, I met tons of people I'm still friends with to this day. And that's what I think I loved about it most, is because I met people that literally now I can call and we can do a ride together, or like they lived probably 30 minutes from me the whole time, and I had no idea.
That's outstanding. Slightly upset because like not a lot of hugging and like handshaking going on, and I'm a very like huggy handshake kind of guy, so that would kind of disappoint me. I
am too, but at that time I am now. Like I'm a lot more like, oh hi,
yeah,
very
what's
like
up, fam?
I'm a lot more personable now than I was then. And I know people can say like, oh, but you were like, I'm very outgoing. Yeah. Now I'm 10 times worse. I am way more outgoing now. But that whole experience, I mean, I got to like meet Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, and like Lionel Richie gave me a yes, and the words he said, like the compliments he gave me for a young girl who was standing there scared. I can honestly say I'm not one to get nervous, and I was terrified because I wasn't really fully confident in myself either.
And how long do you think you'd been performing on stage up until that point?
Well, it was 6 years, so probably 4 years at that point.
Damn.
And so it was just, I was terrified. I wasn't terrified. I was just scared because the second I had gotten the no from the other two and the yes from Lionel Richie, I was happy, but it was a bittersweet moment because I knew I had to walk out of the doors and everybody would be asking me the question.
Oh, yeah.
And as the doors open, I mean, mics came from everywhere, and they're trying to find out everything about like what happened and all this. And I've personally felt like I handled it well for a 17-year-old girl, but deep down I was kind of devastated. I was kind of sad, not because I got a no, but because I was worried that I would have to come back to Indiana. And I know nobody knew, but I knew I'd be on the show at some point, and they did show me and people did find out about it.
Yeah.
I was more nervous that I was going to be seen because, talking to myself at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I was more nervous that people were going to like be disappointed in me and be like not proud of the actual accomplishment itself, because that show is a pretty big deal to some people. But
to even get there.
But like some people were just kind of like, like that's like a make or break thing. And to me, it wasn't when I went into it. It was just fun. And I knew, heck, if I ever had the opportunity, if that opportunity presented itself again, I probably would, just because it's fun. It's so interesting to me.
Do you think leaving there, it solidified that like you wanted to do music like even more?
Leaving that gave me a lot of just like clarity about certain things, because number one, it reminded me that it took me a while to really logistically think this through, but now looking back on it, that day, I think something shifted where number one, I was no longer going to write songs for other people. I was writing them for myself because.
Were you writing a lot of music at the time for other people?
Well, I mean, like the meaning behind the song. Okay. Like, I don't think I ever truly put out a vulnerable, like really, really vulnerable song about me and what has like in my life. Then probably maybe the one before I Hate the Rain, but like I Hate the Rain probably. Because it was the first time I put a true story in a song and I like put it out there. And I think that thing really showed me that, because you can't write people always say, oh, write a hit song or whatever. Write a song that's meant for me. Like I write a song for me now. What
say you to like the algorithm? You know what I mean? Because there is one, like these chords and this succession at this beat per minute. Like you can talk about anything. Like and country music is probably one of the ones. Hip hop is the same way, but like in country music, there are 7 items that you can talk about, and so long as it matches this chord progression in this beat per minute, etc., so long as it fulfills this criteria, like it's going to be a hit.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
And it's true.
So like, do you hate that? Do you love that? Do you think it's fair? Do you think, like, what say you to like somebody like Tyler Childers, who does not follow, Tyler Childers?
I love Tyler Childers.
And he does not follow.
Not at all.
Yeah. He's very abstract.
Love artists like that. And actually, I get jealous of artists like that.
Yeah.
Because as much as I want to be something like that, I don't have that much life experience as some people like that. You know what I mean?
He's closer to my age, I think.
But it's also like, I value that music so much more but that is also coming from an artist. But I've even heard from like my brother, who knows nothing about music but loves listening to Tyler Childers, Zach Bryan's songs were poems. Yeah. Something in the Orange was a poem that he wrote with his mom. Like when
Elizabeth was great. Like he's just been writing.
Oh my gosh. And when you see that, and then I have to get on like a radio station and hear somebody talking about, I don't know, trucks, beer, whatever you said the other day.
I mean, I can imagine that, like, listening to a song like Nose on the Grindstone by Tyler Childers or Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan, it's like the level of inspiration you get from that is completely different than what you get from listening to like Wagon Wheel or some other generic pop country.
I'm actually more shocked that you don't resonate more with pop country, having known that your dog just passed away. You know what I mean? Like my truck's gone, my wife left me, my dog died. Like that's kind of that's like.
Dang it, mine did too.
Your dog just died?
Yeah, like last week.
Yeah, we're still kind of
mine was a while ago.
We're in the mourning process. It's been about a month now that he's passed, but
mine was last.
It's not a good one.
So,
sorry, bro.
But I guess I kind of rewind a little bit, but like your parents help you along with this music process. You know, like there's some kids, you know, that like, I want a guitar, and you know, and then their parents don't help push them get lessons or singing or anything like that. So what do you think? Like having supportive parents helped along the process?
So much. Like, and you know, one of my biggest pet peeves now, like one thing is like both of my parents, my whole family really, heck, my brothers, they had to, while they were growing up doing their thing too, they had to be okay with like, you know, I'm sorry guys, is it like mom, I want mom to come with me out of town for a few days or something like that, you know, and my whole family, they are so supportive and proud. And so like sometimes I'm also like, I want to like be sure that I carry out what they believe in me. Sometimes, you know, which I think is a good thing. They motivate me, they inspire me. And one of my biggest pet peeves is like sometimes people will be like, oh, well, you just have a proud mom or you just have a proud dad, don't you? And I'm like, why would you say that? Yes, I do. Yeah. And I'm happy I do, because I have friends who haven't spoken to their parents in 10 years because instead of going to be a dentist, they went and joined a rock band. Yeah. And I'm like, why does that matter? Because and another thing, like when I was younger, like I was 13, 14, and I was getting opportunities to play in dive bars, and I'd take them, and it benefited me in the end.
Were you managing yourself at that time, or do you think your mom and other people had some insight into that?
Oh, yeah. When I was, and I totally agreed with them on this, between the ages of, I believe, 12 and like 16, like that age, 17, like around that time, I was young. I wasn't even a legal adult yet. So my parents had to be a part of it with certain things. When it came to shows and things like that, I had to have a parental guardian and all of that. And I'm glad I did, because some of the things people say to a
you're
14,
13
15
in a bar, there's going to be some
there's been things that happen. I mean, like, heck, it's also, it's like one of those things. I needed my parents for those moments when I could have just had a bad day. I mean, when your name starts to become a name and people find you, what do people want to do? They want to belittle you. And in my head, it was always like, oh, like, well, must be doing something right if I'm getting hate type deal. But then you get that one message when I'm 14 years old and you have a grown man either telling you that you need to lose weight, or you need to do this, or you should just go ahead and knock yourself out. Like, go ahead and take yourself up to the Golden Gates.
If you're Regzo,
take yourself up to the Golden Gates because your music effing sucks or something like that. When you have those threats and when you have those people coming at you, I needed my parents,
especially at such a young age.
Oh, and I still try to instill to this day. Like, when I think about that, I'm like, man, that was heavy. But it's also like, in my eyes, I had a loving family who wanted nothing, and they still help me to this day. Oh my God.
I was gonna say, like, going to like some of these shows and stuff, like that's got to be a crazy experience at a young age to get to go to.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's got to be weird, dude. And then also, like, your statement does hold true that, like, honestly, if no one is talking shit to you, you're probably doing fucking terrible.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
you should. If someone is talking shit to you, it's like they're upset because you're doing better than them. Mostly. That's generally, and we get a lot of hate on this show, so that's why we keep doing what we're doing.
I think that is. I think if you didn't, I would have said no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you scrolled through the comments, I'm assuming.
No, no.
I was gonna mention. So, like, you mentioned that you did a show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you hear people like Miley Cyrus talk about being a Disney kid and all this, and being performing so much that her voice goes out. She sounds like a 60-year-old smoker now. Like,
she sounds like a two-stroke taking off.
But yeah, when she
sing.
sings, but I'm talking about like her talking voice. Like, are there any things you do to like preserve your voice, or are you conscious of the fact that like, hey, if I sing 5 days this week, I should probably cut myself a little slack next week?
It's funny you say that, because prior to February of 2023, no, I did vocal warm-ups. I did the standard, drank plenty of water, did all that.
What are some other things that people are doing to like help preserve their voice other than like hydration? And
it's literally like, it is simply just being sure to, number one, warm up, be sure you're speaking at a certain volume, getting your hearing checked. Super important. If you can't hear yourself on stage, which happens a lot on Broadway in Nashville, you cannot. I think I've been at like 3 shows where in downtown, like Broadway, Nashville, where I fully heard myself to the completion of what I needed, because I've been in this industry for a long time, so my hearing is a little whacked up a little bit. I yell quite a bit.
Oh yeah, monitors are loud and they're blasting right at you.
Oh yeah. So before February 2023, I did the basics. I drank hot tea if I was sick, allergy medicine, get it better. Did like steam treatments sometimes. Nothing major though, because I always thought to myself, I'm like, oh well, when my voice goes away, it always comes back. And it's normally like I'm just sick and I have to get through that moment and I'll be fine. But in February of 2023, like this past, I went to bed one night, woke up the next morning to, I don't remember where I was going. I woke up and I could barely talk. I could not sing. Voice was gone. And it was weird. So I thought I was getting a cold. I started taking like medicines, trying to do my usual hot tea at night. I do like a throat coat. It's like tea. I love that. Doing like honey lemon treatments, putting my head over a steam pot. 1 week turned into 2 weeks.
That
2
sounds
weeks.
terrible, by the way. You're putting your head over boiling
like
water.
a neti pot?
Yeah. Oh, I've done a neti pot. Those are disgusting.
Yeah.
I was doing everything. And then I was supposed to play on, that was like right after Valentine's Day that week. So it was like February 17th through 19th, whatever that was.
You.
And then, and so I think I was supposed to play the first week of March, I was supposed to play in Panama City. And I was supposed to have my music video shoot for my newest release that came out at the end of February. And I had a show planned. Everybody was coming into town. And I was like, I just want my voice to get better by then. 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks. Freaking out at this point. I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. I'll just do the show. I'll be able to get it. I could sing a few notes. That was the worst idea ever. I got 20 minutes in, couldn't talk. And I was in pain. Like I was in, like my ears were burning. Like it was just, and I was scared. And Mom and Dad were there, thank God, because the guy the people I played at were so were so kind, and they actually had fill-ins next door, so they had somebody there for me.
So it worked out.
But I went to the bathroom and I started sobbing as a grown woman. I'm crying in the bathroom, and my mom comes in there and she's like, you can't like help it. Like, you're just sick right now. And I'm like, I'm not sick. Like that, and she's like, I think we need to get you to a doctor. I'm like, not yet. I got to play in Panama City. So we got me a steroid pack from my doctor here and everything. Tried fixing it. Could finally talk. And I still couldn't sing. So I canceled every show in Panama City while I was there. I still got to stay though, enjoy the beach. Sick, thought some beach vacation would help. And I think it was end of April when I finally found an ENT that could direct me enough to help me out for a couple weeks, and I was able to sing a little bit, but it still didn't sound right. I couldn't talk right.
Yeah,
I had really which I was known to have a raspy voice anyways, but this was like over the top, and my ears were still kind of stinging, and it was weird how it was all connected. And I finally got a referral to Vanderbilt Voice Center, which is actually the same place that Morgan Wallen went when he lost his voice back in the summer or spring. And since then, I've been in vocal therapy, and my outlook on my voice now has completely changed since before. Before, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll work on my voice. Now it's like, it's a process. Like, they had me like blowing bubbles into straws, and like, oh, yeah. I'm like, it's also more about the muscle now than it is about the power of my voice. I would much rather much rather not talk as much to people which I'm a talker. I'd much rather not talk as much to people than not be able to get an extra hour in on a show.
And people don't understand like how delicate and sensitive is it the larynx or the pharynx that has the vocal cords? Larynx. So people don't understand like, I mean, there's these two very tiny muscles that control this weird sheath that
seen that video where they put the camera in Steven Tyler's mouth?
Oh yeah, dude, and it's insane. Steven Tyler.
I had that whole thing. I hadn't seen his though.
So I went to school at U of E and graduated in exercise sports science. So I know a little bit about like anatomy and like the rehab stuff. That's what I was going to school for. So like I understand rehab, and I like blowing bubbles into straws and stuff. Like it seems silly, but like it has helped.
It has helped a ton.
That's insane, dude. And then, like, how terrifying is that? Like, if you would not have gotten your voice back to 100%, you know what I mean?
I was so scared. And it was funny because I was trying to like put on the brave face, to all my family and friends. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. We're good. And I had done it right before I had went to my first Vanderbilt appointment. I was terrified that I had like polyps or nodes or something that would be surgically, because I had a full summer lineup.
Yeah,
I had shows every single weekend up until I think this weekend. Like literally this weekend, I had every single weekend booked, and I was terrified and everything was starting to look up. And that's another thing, because any journey when you're chasing a dream, up and down. Life is up and down consistently. Sometimes it's stagnant, but and I had just finally got back up on an incline where I felt my music was really doing really well on platforms. I was getting put on playlists now. I was getting really great recognition at places in Nashville that I hadn't gotten recognition, and things were finally looking up. And then that happened, and it just took me right back down. And I remember it felt like the best way I could put it felt like my identity was being taken away, because when you're so young, that becomes your identity. When people say, who's Kenna?
Your voice?
Yeah, my voice. When people say, oh, who's Kenna? Oh, she's that singer. Like when people like, or however people would direct me, whenever people explain or say compliments about me, it's always something to do with my voice too. So like it was all an identity thing. And here I am, and I lost that, and I lost a piece of myself, and I was terrified I wasn't going to get it back, until I had to find things that I loved about myself outside of music. Because I still was able to write, but it wasn't the same. And I still was able to do the little things, but I wasn't able to sit there and really put on my best performance, and it bothered the crap out of me.
So with like hip hop right now, there's a trend of like singles are in and albums are out. Mm-hmm. Is that similar to country music, or would you say it's different with country music?
Morgan Wallen would argue with that.
Oh yeah, Jesus he puts Christ. Out but I will say for the bigger artists, like as far as like the mainstream artists that you hear, most of them are doing an album touring, or they'll put out a single, put out an album with that single, and then they'll tour. And they'll.
What about for you though? Like
for
Thomas
me,
says, what do you think?
I prefer right now, at least, I prefer to put out a single at a time, and then.
Is it quality over quantity? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes,
like
quality over quantity for me.
This one
which
thing
it used to not be. I used to be very much like song. I need volume. I need a lot. But then I was like, why would I do that if I could why have 10 semi-okay songs when I could have 3 really strong songs? So that's kind of like this year I put out New Me technically going into 2023, and then I put Whiskey Me Away out in April. And I'm still waiting on
Whiskey Me Away was a very catchy, very good put together song.
Both attacks, if you will, to the music industry, I think can be beneficial.
Like talk about the Waterfall album,
Attack by volume or Attack by singles, and that's what I was gonna.
Oh yeah.
I wanted. So since we're talking platforms, I actually have 2 questions. First off, you're getting put on playlists now. Very strange that I have. I don't know if it was like I clicked a song and like hit play radio, but I'm like, I don't even remember what I was doing this day. And I think it's because I had looked you up and we had already booked you and I was listening to your stuff. And this is probably why it happened. But I think I played a Morgan Wallen song and I just said, play radio. And you popped up on it like 20 minutes into the playlist. So I'm sure it's because I listened to your stuff.
Yeah.
But like you are noticing yourself being put on playlists. And how hard is that for you? Like, are you...
some people have to pay to get put on playlists.
Is this something
approaching you?
So like with Spotify specifically, you can pitch your songs to editorial playlists.
Okay.
And for a lot of the people I work with, they've been put on multiple playlists now, but they've got like the blue check marks on Instagram, and they've got they're definitely on the come up type deal. And I have pitched every single song. Let's put it this way: I've put out in total, I've probably got almost 10 songs out there. Maybe I have pitched every single song except for maybe 2 of them. And my first song to hit up editorial playlist was Whiskey Me Away.
Killer song, by the way. Again, I can't brag on it enough. I still think Stand on My Toes is probably my favorite. It's just me.
I love that song.
You can clearly see like how much of an effect that has on...
I get it, but Stand on My Toes is still top 5, so everybody just chill the fuck out.
Yeah, I'm just saying...
I have good taste, okay?
Getting put on playlists.
So there's this new trend of music albums now.
Are you doing the waterfall?
So we're finding there's this new thing called like a waterfall trend, to where like you dropped, what was the first single of the year again?
New Me.
So like you dropped a New Me, right? And then so like the next month you drop Whiskey Me Away, and then the next month you drop another one, and then each month they're adding these to an album.
Yeah.
And it's like on a playlist, and then by the end of the year you have a 12-song album.
Have you seen this? People doing this?
I have been seeing this, and it's actually something that I've been bringing to like certain people's attention recently, because it was something that I really wanted to do. Prior to like I'd seen it, I'd kind of thought about that in a sense, because somebody had told me in the industry, they're like, you should get an album out. And it was before I put out I Hate the Rain. And
why do you hate the rain?
We don't want to talk about it.
No, I'm kidding.
Mom's upset, dude. Let's just leave that where it lies.
No. A girl, she goes to, long story short, girl goes to college, meets a sweet boy. She goes on a date, thinks he's all sweet, and then instead of being a kind person, like later on, it
turns out to be a...
He made me walk home in the rain. I had to walk home in the rain.
I understand why you hate rain.
I had to walk home in the rain. I actually love the rain.
Especially if you had white boots on and not rain boots.
No, I had flip flops on, but I remember like it was literally we were all hanging out, like there was a big group of us, and then I was like leaving, and he was just being a mean.
It's okay. You can
mean ass. He was being mean.
He was being a bully.
He was being a bully, and so that inspired.
This is the most G-rated show we've ever shot. By the way.
Sorry. Well, I don't know if I can. I would curse, but what if my grandparents listen to it?
That's true. That checks out.
No,
can I curse? I don't know.
You can totally curse. Sick. It's just different. No, but he was being an asshole, and it was the first time where I had ever been put in a situation where, like, mind you, I'm in Tennessee. It's not like I'm in a city. And it was in my apartment complex, but like made me walk home in the rain, piss pouring rain. And I walked slowly. And I put on my music, and I was like, this is awful and hilarious at the same time.
Speaking of the rain, now you're from a small town in the tri-state area, and you can attest to this. And this is my favorite thing about the rain in the county area. You don't get it so much in the city. Sometimes you do, but out in the county, that smell right before the rain hits.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there anything fucking sweeter?
I love that. And nobody gets it.
You know what I'm talking about, dude?
Yeah. I mean, I still get it here in Evansville, but I lived in Jasper for like a decade, which is a much smaller town.
You get that sweet scent of the good Lord's
I love
humidity.
the smell of rain.
Oh, dude, it's like God just perspiring on you. You know what I mean? He's just sweating on me.
No.
And I love it. I love it.
I do love the rain now. I hate it. That was just because I was in an angry mood.
That dude's a dick, just for the record.
No, it was the first guy I met in college. Like, you know, you go outside, you're like,
The first one's never a winner.
I know,
did
he
your
wasn't.
Parents not tell you this?
I'll be real.
I'm joking.
I'll be real. Like, it's
the second,
fine.
The third, the fourth.
It's fine. I've never had luck in that department, so I've never. That's actually a song title in my book.
Just promise me we're not going down a T Swift road
No.
where every song's a breakup song.
No.
Have you utilized AI at all in
Do you know
music
much
writing
about
nowadays?
this?
I have heard about this, and I know and you know what? It sucks because in some case scenarios, I could see how it would be cool, specifically for like certain jingles, like on like radio, or certain people who may not have enough money to go out and buy a song, like get a songwriter to write a song and put all that effort into it.
That checks out.
It's a cool idea, but like AI writing songs it literally pulls all emotion out of songs. I don't like it.
It doesn't ever sound natural. It sounds like you asked an AI to write a song.
What I can say is I claim to be like an amateur musician. I'm really not. I can't write to save my life, but I can like play rhythm. So like I enjoy playing other people's music.
I come up here and you're singing Firework like once a month.
Dude, Katy Perry literally makes
such a good song.
She makes me moist. You know what I mean? Like I get sweaty. Like
sweaty.
If I could ever walk into
that's how I am about like
who's
Riley
your
Green.
dreamy
Riley Green.
Riley Green.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
If Riley Green would just take a moment and listen to this podcast and know I'm in love with him, that'd be great. But what I'm going to do is
you should text him and let him know. Oh, shit. Actually, speaking of Riley Green, you have a show coming up.
I do.
When is that?
August.
Riley Green's involved
It's the
in
weekend
this.
it's the weekend August 25th, 26th.
And where's it at?
It's in Leesburg, Missouri.
Is this
It's like by Lake of the
26th?
Ozarks.
What is today? I don't know what today's date is. But either way, this will air before that.
Yeah.
So the 25th and the 26th?
It's like that weekend, but I played that Friday.
Okay, which
I don't
is
know what that date is.
25th.
25th? It is 25th? Okay.
Drew, the producer, he keeps
And
us on
that's
the
the
road.
air the 22nd.
Huh?
This will air the 22nd.
All right, so you guys got a few days to grab tickets, or how does this work?
Yeah, so it's a float trip. It's on Lake of the Ozarks, and
I fucking love the Ozarks.
yeah,
dude.
so it's really neat. They do still have tickets available online, and they will have them up there. The hardest part is finding places to stay, but it's like there's campgrounds, there's cabins. They have all this, and tons of people come out.
Is this anywhere near Van Buren? What town is it? Do you know?
Leesburg.
Leesburg.
Yeah, it's probably like, I think we looked it up, and it was like a 4-hour drive from here in St. Louis.
6.
A 6-hour drive?
Yeah.
Where?
Damn.
Dang, that's
a jog.
crazy.
That's a jog,
I'm gonna
dude.
need to bring like a book or something. And I hate reading.
Damn, dude. Listen to David Goggins on tape or something.
I'll listen to the Days and Grimm's podcast.
Oh, you should. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Days Grimm, dude. Look us up and listen to us on your float trip or on the way to.
So, what's the process like for when you how do you know that there's a song that you've written that needs a music video?
I think it's all about the storytelling aspect of it. So when I write songs, I heavily influence the words, like the way I create and songwrite, from older style country music, Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson. Like they did a lot of whoever, or even the writers that wrote for them, whatever it may be, very storytelling.
Yeah.
And it was funny because New Me, the song that I first put out, that song had a lot more attention, but Whiskey Me Away had a lot more of a deeper meaning. And I wrote it like 2 years ago, I think. And I wasn't even going to put it out because I kind of wanted to wait till I got a little older and all that, you know. People be like, why is she singing about whiskey? But
right, she doesn't even know what a good whiskey tastes like.
I wanted,
Dude, she grew up in the sticks, bro. She knows what whiskey tastes like. Leave her alone. You know what I mean?
So they had so I really just wanted, I really wanted a storytelling music video, because I could have done the whole cool singing along to like my song, but I wanted there to be flashbacks, and I wanted to be there like a full storyline of this,
like a short film.
Like a short film. Like I wanted
which is
that.
how I love music videos like that compared to just the artist singing, which can be cool. Don't get me wrong. But
I feel those are more visualizers.
Like John Michael Montgomery's Letters from Home. That is a great music video. If you've never seen it,
I'll have to check it out.
Phenomenal.
What do you think the best way to put what you feel inside on paper? How's that process the best way for you?
What does that even look like? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like how do you take this and get it there?
I think, I personally think I have to tell people songwriting is like therapy on a page, but it's also like, a lot of the times I'll hear a melody first and I'll just have that in my back pocket. And then when something
like in your voice memo.
Yeah. Like literally I have it's actually yesterday on my Snapchat, which is funny. I was literally, I don't know why, but I just needed something quick and I was already on the app.
Yeah.
And I have a video of me going, I don't know if this will work, but I think it would sound like, and I went or whatever, hearing a riff in my head.
Yeah.
And I may not know how to play it, but I know somebody out there does. So I'll write to that vibe. And I actually recently have a song. It's funny. The whole first part of the chorus is in my phone as a voice memo. And those melodies that I hear, I kind of visualize them and I'm like, okay, this is more of a calmer melody. And I'm like, what in my life could really be brought to life with these chords or whatever. Or sometimes it's as simple as the other night I was really just having it had been a weird day. A lot of stuff was going on and I sat down and I just wrote down how I was feeling that day and it just happened to rhyme. That's literally what it is. It's you write down how you feel and you make it rhyme.
So when you're talking about this riff you hear in your head, are you I know Jake, a bass player back home. Jake would be awesome for this.
He would help me figure it out. Yeah, because I can play guitar, and I'm really good with rhythm stuff. I'm really good with, but I'm not good. Yeah, I'm
sick, dude.
I'm not good with
playing scales.
Yeah, no, I'm not good at that because I needed to figure out guitar quick, so I didn't even think to learn that. But even my guitarist in my band recently, I was I love this entire song I wrote, but I have no clue what the hell I am playing. I have no clue what chords. Send it to him. He'll be oh, here, try this out for a size. If I don't like it, he'll give me a different version. Because I say make it the easiest way possible because I don't want to focus on my guitar playing when I'm writing. And so I just usually think of somebody who would be able to help me in that and would help me quickly. Because when I have a song idea and the person's taken 3 weeks to get back with me, which I totally understand. People have lives. I'm thinking about it at all times.
That brings up two questions. Mm-hmm. All right. So my first question, and you're probably going to interrupt before I get to my second question. So my first question is, we were talking about you hear a melody and then it registers in your mind, this will be a sad song or this will be a whatever song, a happy song, whatever. This will be a song about my dead dog. When you hear that, this is a more broad question. It really has nothing to do with you. It's more so music in general. How do you think, because I can't put my finger on it, but how do you think it is that we hear, as humans, we hear music and then it puts you in a certain place? There's something,
I love that.
When I hear a song and I know I love that song when my nipples are hard. I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? But why is that? Anatomically, our bodies react to these melodies. What is it?
I love music.
What is it?
That is why I love music.
What is it, dude?
You're
the practitioner here.
You know what?
Tell me what's happening.
I think,
Tell me
and
what
this
is
is why,
going
kind
on.
of going even back to early, the AI thing earlier, that you feel.
Yeah.
You don't feel alone anymore is the best way I can put it. When there was somebody out there. And this could just be a me thing, but when I hear music can change our emotions within the span of 3 minutes at most normally.
Yeah.
3.5 minutes, whatever. The fact that a song and somebody else's experience can make somebody feel something is insane to me. And even to this day, when I hear people tell me how a song of mine helped them through something, because they're I thought I was the only one who had felt them that. When I hear that, I know I'm doing my job right. And we're literally writing about our experiences, and I think that's genuinely why people love music. Yeah, there's people that love the beat, and everybody loves a good song with a fun beat. I mean, I'm guilty of that.
Oh, 100%.
But you find the settings to play those songs. But when you find a song okay, for example, New Me was written a little bit slower, but even Whiskey Me Away, I wrote this at 10 minutes at a local tavern here, St. Philip's. I don't know if you've been out there.
Yeah, St. Philip's Tavern.
St. Philip's Tavern.
They did my wedding.
Really?
Yeah, we paid them to do our beer for our wedding.
They're awesome.
They're great.
I love them. They're great people. I had done like a little acoustic set when I had came home. I was supposed to be home for a concert, and it had gotten canceled because it was snowing out and everything. And I ended up playing at St. Philip's. Like, it was a last minute show. And so I was sitting down on the floor 10 minutes before a show, and I had heard somebody just say the words "Whiskey Me Away." And it had reminded me of a story I'd heard from somebody else who was talking about how she, like, a relationship ended because of, like, an addiction. And I was like, well, what if I took that idea and made people think it'd be, like, really happy, like, oh, whiskey me away. And I put it into, like, something a lot more sentimental, because there's a lot of people that struggle with addiction, and people haven't been able to relate it to not just alcohol.
Are you pointing fingers, or like, what's going on? Are you judging me right now?
No, not at all.
I thought we were doing a podcast. I didn't know this was fucking therapy. No, joking.
This is an intervention, Brian.
We need to talk.
I do love bourbon, though, just for the
That's
record.
okay. That's
100%.
different. But it's different. It's different. It was just like I wanted... Dang it.
Therapy session.
I wrote it completely differently.
No, that's awesome, though. Yeah, you, like, flipped the script on...
And then what we did to make it a fun beat is I went to my producer and I said, okay, let's rock this shit out. Like, let's add some, like, insane guitar. Like, I want you to just go nuts on the guitar.
Loud.
I was like, you make it loud.
Yeah.
And we did that, and it made
played
the song.
It that night?
No, this was like a few weeks later.
Oh, I was gonna say you wrote it and then played it in St. Philip's.
I played it that. Yeah, I played it.
You did play it in St. Philip's Tavern?
Yes, I did acoustically. But then I had a lot of trust in that song. But I didn't take it to the.
Hey, settle down over there.
Sorry, I did not
settle down over there, dude.
Sorry, my bad.
Get all excited, start drop kicking Steven Tyler over here. No, I'm just joking. But no, that's interesting. You write a song and then freaking played it 10 minutes later. What's up?
I was gonna say before your second question, I'm gonna take a bathroom break.
Okay, pee break.
Yeah.
All right, quick intermission. Are you good? Yeah. You shouldn't have hydrated so hard. Dude, honestly, if you're... Okay, just word to the wise, dude. If you're gambling with anything other than money, you have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're back. All right, guys. We took a quick pee break, so everyone's all squared away. We're all tucked in.
Well, no, so how's music curation gone since pre-COVID to post-COVID now? Because it's been a completely different. Like you hinted at it earlier, like you got group songwriting, Zoom calls now versus like meeting at a coffee house to group write.
Yeah, I think you know, and it could be different for me too because I wasn't really in the Nashville scene whenever COVID happened and prior. But like pre-COVID, I feel like I had a lot of opportunities and things like that, and it was going really well. COVID hit, and I learned a lot, not only about myself, the music I wanted to write, and it also learned how to use social media and the internet for high-quality reasoning and purposes.
Do you have like a social media management team, or is it all you?
No, it's all me.
God, that sucks.
It's hard. But it's hard to come out. I'm creative, but I'm not like over the top. Like I'm creative in my music.
Yeah.
But having to come up with content and things to post other than me sitting and singing a song every day is awful. Like I write lists down and I'm like, wait, would people actually watch that though? Like it doesn't even relate to music. And
You'd
I'm like,
be surprised. People watch people reorganize their garages on YouTube.
It's interesting. But it's like, you know, when that social media stuff happened, that definitely redirected me in that context. And then when I moved, everybody had, I think it's pros and cons. Pro, you have a lot more of a wide variety of people to work with. Now, instead of me having to do group writes in a room, I can call somebody from Florida and we can have a Zoom write that the same day that we might DM.
And now it's like normal. You guys
it's
are
normal.
Used to working
We're used
that way.
to that way now. And it's like we don't really have to play. We just write. Like I'll play. Like each of us will play, but we have to be very careful about timing. You know, it's a webcam. We go like back and forth and it works. Same as being in a room. The only thing that I think shifted in a negative way was it lost a lot more of its authenticity and originality, because when you're together with people and you're picking brains and you're talking, and when that happens, I've noticed there's a lot heavier of a creative flow than when you're sitting in your PJs on one side of the screen and the other side and you're just staring at each other.
Yeah, there's like a moment when it's like it's almost like the lead up to like a romantic, I don't know, like a Marilyn Monroe kiss or something. You know what I mean? It's just like having two bodies in the same room for the same purpose, working on the same thing. You just don't get that same vibe.
Yeah.
That's the biggest downfall or the biggest downfall or flaw of like this whole internet. Now everything is a Zoom call. Everyone's working from home and they have like 9 kids now. It's like, what are we doing, dude?
And it also, like when I say like authenticity too, I think of it as like, you got to have, I feel like everybody has to have life experience to be able to write this music and like, or just like have something they want to talk about. And when I was sitting inside or going for walks every single day or a run every single day because I couldn't do anything else.
What else were you allowed? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When I'm sitting and I'm not getting myself ready for the day, I'm not like truly enjoying my life for like when I say I was enjoying my life, but you know, like truly living, like going out, seeing people, meeting people, interacting. What else was there to write about?
Yeah.
I was like, it was really hard for me to write during that time. I probably didn't write a song for like 2 months because you were just sitting there and I was just like, so when I got out of the house, I was.
Yeah, it's depressing.
My blood flow came back.
Right.
Do you think there's a different stigma for female country artists? Especially like if you go back in the day, there was like Reba, Lady A, and then like now you have
Reba.
like Taylor Swift-ish. But it's like in that, and that's probably like a bad scale of things. But like, do you think that like female country artists have like a different sect than like male that you're supposed to, as a female country artist, you're supposed to fit in this specific genre of country music?
Yeah, I do think that. And now, and when I say this too, like sometimes when I'm carrying a conversation with people about this, male versus female in the industry, I always tell people I do not want, if my song is not better than a man's, don't feel like you have to play it. But what really bothers me about the two is, number one, I have never, ever, ever seen a man get looked at and be told you need to, your looks are 70%, so you might as well go.
Nobody's telling Jelly Roll he needs to lose weight.
Nobody's, and I love Jelly Roll, and he's went through hell. Like, I love Jelly Roll. I personally think he's very authentic as a mainstream artist. He's very authentic. But nobody's sitting there and telling him that. I was told that when I was going through puberty. And you're like, okay. And so, but I always said like, oh, well, my looks aren't about my music, whatever. But that's one. Another thing is I was also informed that every 7 songs on the country music radio, you will hear a woman's song. Now that is just, sometimes there might be 2 in a row. That usually happens whenever there's a song with a male artist in it. So a woman and male duet. Every 7 songs, and if you count, it's close. It's like 6 to 8. Somewhere in that range, there's a woman's song played. And when I heard that they had to do that, somebody had told me at one point, like, oh yeah, we have to do that. That's how like the radio sets it apart to add a diversity in it. When I heard that, I was really mad because I'm like, okay, so if it was an option, would women even be played? And it felt like it's gone backwards because in the 90s, even early 2000s,
all you heard was Reba and Lady A.
Back. I'm talking like even like back to like Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn. Like you had women I always go back to the 90s. 90s women were.
Oh yeah, they kicked ass.
They kicked ass, and they took names, and I loved that. But somewhere along the line, when country music's style shifted, which is okay, music changes all the time. You know, it went from that fun hillbilly country to pop country to rock country. When it shifts, there's naturally going to be a shift in the listeners as well, and the streamers and things like that. But I think now it just stinks because I literally recently saw where people were like, well, they named 2 women. And I think that's great that they named 2 women that they said they listened to. Anybody else is trash. And I'm like, I'm not even talking about this for myself. I'm just talking about all the other women I know who are insanely talented.
Yeah.
A lot of the writers I work with are women, and man, they're incredible. And seeing the difference between me being in a write with all men and a write with all women is so shocking.
Do you think that when you read those statistics, you're like, I need to get a male feature to like maybe on a song or two, just to like increase your odds in that statistic playlist?
and that's a really good question because I have been asked similar things before. Like, have you ever thought about joining with a guy? And
even just for
the
one
best
song.
answer, I would if I appreciate the guy's music and the way that he absolutely, I would love to feature with a guy, girl, whoever. I don't care. I love singing with people, but I would much rather, and I 100% will stand by this. I would much rather not have a song on mainstream radio than if I had to do it
with a man
if I had to do it. If somebody looked at me, I don't get me wrong, I have a ton of male country singers I love and I appreciate, and they are incredible to women. But if somebody looked at me and said, you have to feature on this song by just harmonizing, you have to harmonize with this guy on this song. He doesn't want you to do anything else, but he's got great views. It'll really get you publicity, but you won't get to a lot of the credit for this. I would not do it. But if somebody said, hey, this person wants you two to come together, really work creatively together on this song, have half and half creative control, just really focus on it, I would love that.
Would you ever be up to like a mashup of, say, like Atlas of the Dogs, a local rock band, or the Strangers were like, hey, we want to get you on a song or something? Would you be...
I mean, yeah, it'd be fun. You know what I mean? Like, I think, and even to this day, when people reach out to me about collabing and stuff, I almost every single time answer to every single person, check to see if they're legit. Like, I would love that. I love playing with people who just love music, because I feel like right now in the mainstream, the one thing that I've noticed coming into it is it's no longer about, even I've heard people I know say this, music is meant to be played. It's meant to be fun. Playing is completely different from I'm working music. There's two separate things. It is not meant to be a job. It is not meant to be seen as this some crazy logistical type of thing. Play the ones that you love. I would love to play with the people that I love their music. I'm going to play with them. You know, if I would sit down and listen to their music, hell yeah, I'm going to play with you.
What's that song I always reference?
Don't fucking know.
David Allan Coe.
Something about a trucker.
No, David Allan Coe, The Ride. Do you know the song?
Oh, that's a great song.
Can you make the folks feel what you feel inside?
Exactly.
That's what music boils down to.
It's what music is. And I think that like when I see the way like women, like I always said, if I ever got the platform, I would use it to my advantage for all those little girls so they could have a little bit of an easier experience. Like, you know, just a little bit. Yeah. And I know it will never change fully.
What advice do you have for those little girls out there that want to get into music?
My advice has definitely shifted over the year, because I used to always say like, oh, just, you know, keep on chasing, keep on doing it. Yeah, do that, but be hella confident in every single aspect. If you can walk into a room and capture the essence of every single person and get a seat at that table, use it confidently. Be proud to be able to have a voice in the industry. If you want to make a dream happen, make it happen. Be so proud of yourself, because that's something I didn't do. I had people tell me they were proud of me, but I wasn't. I felt like I loved the music, but I felt like I wasn't really fully confident that I could do what it took. I just kept telling myself I could. And I'm glad I did, because it worked out in the end. But just be confident and know that whether you're a woman, male, whatever in the industry, just be proud to make the music and be able to share it with others, because not everybody gets that opportunity.
And just tell your story,
yeah.
like authentically.
Tell your story authentically, because like I have not, whenever we were talking about Tyler Childers, I have not been through the same things as him, clearly. That's what makes it unique. That's why you don't only hear one artist for every single genre, because we all go through different paths in life. We all go through different things. And that's why I believe everybody should have a fair share to be able to tell their story. I just happen to tell mine through a melody and some lyrics.
Well, you do a great job of it.
Thank you.
I'm very, very pumped that you came in. We finally landed you.
I had such a...
I kept texting you and DMing you and like, we're so excited. Like, that wasn't bullshit. Like,
yeah, I was so excited too.
Seriously. Thank you.
I love talking to people.
Thank you so much. I don't like most people, but you're on the good
but
list.
You know, like, yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not getting Cole from the Days Grimm for Christmas.
Yeah. We're fucking tight now.
Awesome.
No, man, I just really appreciate your time. Oh, and then also, we'll put all the links in the description, but how can people get a hold of you? What's like, if let's say the Strangers, can you pull that front vinyl? These dudes are killer. If you've not heard of them,
the name sounds so familiar.
They're from Santa Claus, dude.
Okay, then I have heard. I've seen them online, like being promoted.
They literally snap dicks, dude. I don't know what they're doing, dude, but they're crushing it. They're like they're like 20 years old, but they sound like if Led Zeppelin had a baby with like Temple of the Dog or something.
They're good.
They are very talented.
That's awesome.
They're 20. But anyways, we've had them on. They're great. But like, if they were to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you to like collab if they wanted to?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Or like, how can anyone get a hold of you?
I'm on all social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
What's your handle?
Kenna Elpers Music on everything. The best places to get a hold are normally Instagram, Facebook, and then my website, kennaelpers.com.
Okay.
Because there's like there should be like a contact list, or you can even find the links to all of them on there. But those are the three best, because sometimes like TikTok DMs, I don't really look at those because you have random people. You have random people. Unless it's like my mom or my best friend sending me like a funny video of a cat doing something. I don't know.
We had a Vietnamese kid just send us a DM the other day. It was like a shared video. I was like, dude, I don't even know. Who are you? Like, apparently we got listeners in Vietnam.
Heck yeah.
Dude, shout out.
Was there any dark moments along this journey that you wanted to throw in the towel? And you don't have to talk about that moment specifically, but what pulled you through that moment is what we care about.
What gets you through it?
There definitely were, especially this year with what happened with my voice. That was heavy. There were also moments when I was in high school and even in the beginning stages of my collegiate time where I felt like I was, and it wasn't in a bad way, but I felt like I was like almost not missing out, but I felt like I wasn't treating people the way I should have been at that age. Like I felt like me going out here and booking up every single week and doing what I loved, I felt like that was really, I felt selfish, like in that concept. Like I felt kind of, sometimes, you feel drained, some days you feel on top of the world. Yeah. But I had there was a few times where I just had really dark moments and I didn't want anybody to know about it. I kind of kept it to myself. And instead, I literally, to pull me out of it was my music. Like listening to it, music of other people, writing my own music, discussing music with other people, learning about other people's experiences. Like that's what's so beautiful about music for me, is because although it is set to be a career, in the beginning, music was simply just music. It was fun and it really pushed me through. And when people kind of talk about when I first started being so young, most people think you're going to give it up because it's just a hobby. But for me, it was more than that. It was a form of self-expression. It's the way that I get through every single day. You have a bad song, you go home, you pick up your guitar and you just play some chords. Sometimes I can't even sing. Sometimes I can't speak, but just the sound of something soothes me. And like I think that's really all it came down to, is my music saved me when my music might have been the most harmful at the same time.
Wow.
The music pushed you through, man.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, man, it really can, like, music can move mountains, dude. There is something to be said about when my nipples get fired up, dude. I'm serious.
And he's not talking about a run and chafing either.
Dude, I'm dead serious, dude. When I hear a song and I get that chill up
that
my
goosebumps,
spine, you know what I mean?
I get those.
My toenails start growing a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's weird stuff, dude. It's weird stuff.
You start
dude.
Getting a little more hair on the head.
Nope. I love your fucking optimism. No, man. I'm serious. I'm so pumped that you got in here.
We're big glad.
Seriously, Drew, Tom, myself, Brian, we're very, very excited.
I had a blast. Like I said, I can talk about music for hours and just everything. I can talk about all the crazy shit.
Tom said, if you're ever in town, man, hit us up. We'll do a round 2. We have people on duplicate times all the time, so please hit us up again, man. But just seriously, you could have done anything for an hour or 2.
Especially with your limited time in town with family, and we appreciate you digging out a little block of time for us.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
This has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. Snap. I forgot. What song do we want to outro?
Drew's already got it.
Whiskeyed Me Away.
Whiskeyed Me Away is what we're going to outro on by Kenna Elpers. And seriously, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
This has been a thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
Drew, the producer. And this has been Kenna Elpers outroing on Whiskeyed Me Away.
Met you at the bar, saw you look my way, never felt so hard. Guess things start to change. Asked me for a dance, gave you a chance to sweep me off my feet. The music played. You whiskeyed me away. Then why are you holding the bottle like it's an AK-47 rifle, trying to pull the trigger? You don't wanna chase me down, you're gonna go for another round. Try to drown it all out, you must be hurting now. Since you escaped me away, one drink turned it to time when next thing I knew here was gone. That same song was on, and now we're broken. All the shots you're taking, tripping out, my heart is killing me. All these memories, your cold-hearted buzz is something I can't love. I tried to stay, you escaped me Neon is the only truth that's keeping me away from you. Since you escaped me away, one drink turned to time when